It is so good to be on Rtse again. Tonight, allow me to outline for you a very interesting topic that I believe everyone would be interested in. And that is, why is failure so prevalent in many of our undertakings? Why do we fail so often? Why is it that many of us never really attain the kind of success that we so desire in our lives? So many of us are looking for a second income. So many of us are looking to change the circumstances of our lives. And yet, through the effort that we put in to really build a business that we want to see succeed, we fail again and again and again. Is there a reason for such failure to hit us whilst we see other people succeed all around us? I think not. It seems such a travesty of justice when we see so many capable, competent people fail in their endeavors. And so we take to wondering, why is it that such people who have all the giftings and the capabilities, why would they fail in an undertaking like Melaleuca, which should be really a cinch for them, and yet they fail? You know, it's interesting. Let me share with you two principles tonight about two very important aspects of whatever we undertake to do. You know, I always say this. The first guiding principle in our life should be to make sure our enrollees earn. In other words, we should place their interests before our interests. And if we want them to come in to undertake the Melaleuca involvement as a business, then we should start with ourselves. We should be the ones who should really treat it like a business. Because if we don't do that, we will never be able to convince them to do what we are not doing. The second principle that really undergirds everything that I do is this, is to teach your enrollees to teach. You know, teaching them to learn is merely an activity that does not carry continuity. We should always teach them to teach them to duplicate what we have taught them. That is the secret of success. Let me put these two undergirding principles into perspective. Let me put it in the light of what the mission statement of Melaleuca is. To enhance the lives of those we touch by helping them reach their goals. Now, this is exactly what Melaleuca practices. You know, the call for us is to enhance the lives of those we touch, meaning we should go with a sincere, honest attitude of wanting to bring improvements, to bring change, to bring positive developments into their lives. And how do we do that? By helping them to reach their goals. The principal call on our lives is to really make them earn, like what I said in my own personal guiding principles. And that's very, very important. You know, these two guiding lights must always really be what we want to see and what we want to practice. And it's very, very important. Recently, I had a posting from one of my key leaders, Safia Nordin. In her message that she sent out to her leaders to encourage them at the end of June, she shared about a few basic principles, that her leaders should have when they come into the business. And I'm going to share these principles with you. These principles are great principles. She says, firstly, that we must carry the right mindset if we are to succeed in Melaleuca. Without the right mindset, we will be distracted. We will be swayed from whatever we set as our goals. The right mindset is so very important. And if we have the right mindset, the rest of the factors, she said, will fall into place. Secondly, she said that we must treat our Melaleuca involvement like a business. If we treat it like a hobby, then we'll get hobby income. If we treat it as a pastime, then we'll get just some minimal incomes from our effort. But if we treat it like a business, we will get business income. That is a principle of life that cannot be violated. We should treat it like a business. Thirdly, she talked about self-initiative. She said that, those who really succeed are those who will do things without waiting for guidance. Once they are already established, once they have the basic structure of knowledge in the business, they would move on their own. They will go out. If you want to wait for somebody to walk alongside you, then many of the things will be left undone until that person comes along. And that's no good. And then fourthly, she talked about, not giving up, not ever giving up. Too many people are weak. They are not prepared to withstand the difficulties of life. The people who want to avoid the difficulties of life will always give up. And she said, no giving up in whatever we do. And she's so right. If we have this attitude of not giving up, of continuing through the difficulties, I'm reminded of my mountain climbs again. Whenever I climb any high mountain, I can tell you there will be at least 7 to 8 occasions where you will feel like giving up. Along the course of your journey, especially when you hit what is seemingly really tough stretches, the likelihood and the persuasion of giving up will always come into your mind, because it's easier to go back down than to go further up. And then fifthly, she talked about the positive mindset. She talked of the attitude of not giving up relating to a positive mindset. If your mindset is always positive, you will always see the possibilities and not look at what will set you back. And then the sixth point she talked of is to be a leader quickly. This relates to self-initiative. Says, if you really want to really go into the pathways of success and earn the incomes that you like to see, you should become a leader very quickly. And I want to tell you, my friends, you can become a leader very, very quickly. And there should be no problem to it. Then the seventh factor she talked about is fast progress. Many people say, let me do it slowly, or let me do it when I can, as and when I can. Do you think it's going to happen, my friends? Look at your own lives. Look at all the many occasions where you allow it to happen as it comes. Has it worked? I don't think so. Without the fast progress, I think you will not get very far. When I came into Melaleuca, I just decided to move, at a pace that I really would like to see success very quickly. And it worked. And the incomes that have come have been beyond my imagination. Finally, or eighthly, Safia talked about follow-up. She says that we should always follow up very quickly with our people. And that's very important. Safia talked about follow-up as the final factor, but as the factor that really puts everything else together. And that's very important. I think we should take heed of these 8 factors that Safia sent out to her leaders, because we will benefit immensely if we listen to good advice. Let me now talk of the actual message that I want to share tonight. Allow me to start by saying many never ever reach the starting line. Now this is an interesting thought, isn't it? Many never ever reach the starting line. I remember many people training for marathons. I used to run in marathons. I had people who started training for a marathon a few months before they actually run the race. And they are all excited, we are all geared up. And then when it comes to the day of the marathon, many of these people come to the starting line but never really reach it. They give themselves excuses. They think of the rigors of the marathon. They think of the difficulties. They think of the pain. And they don't start. Isn't that a shame? People prepare for some of the things, some of the dreams that they have, but they never ever reach the starting line. And that's very important for us to understand that we must reach the starting lines. What would take us into a position of failure as we come into the Melaleuca business? Let me tell you, the first factor is comfort zones. We are more comfortable right where we are. That doesn't require us to come out with exertions. That doesn't require us to go beyond what we are used to. That doesn't require us to really drive past the comfort lines that we are all used to. It's such a tragedy. Everything that has to do with success must go past comfort zones. And my friends, even as you listen in tonight, let me challenge you, let me share with you, what are your comfort zones? Why are you so hesitant to really move into comfort zones instead of moving out of comfort zones? Comfort zones play a lot of tricks on our minds. I am reminded of this story of, this lady who actually had a mother who was immensely talented. For years and years, her dream was to be a famous dancer and singer. And she would practice in the house and she would sing beautifully and she'll dance beautifully. But each time when she was supposed to go for auditions, she never really wanted to step out. She always saw it as very bothersome. She always saw the issues of, having to really do so much that is not part of the normal makeup of her life. And so she preferred to stay within her comfort zones. All that huge amount of talent, of singing, of dancing, she would perform in the house to herself and to one or two of the family members would look on in awe. Beautiful performances, but never ever stepping out. For years, she just stood back and the years went by. Soon, the years had passed her by. She was now already past her prime, and as age came on, she reached her 60s and her 70s. And she would still perform in the house. She would still sing and she would still dance beautifully. But the time had passed her. Sadly, she never fulfilled her dreams because she was not willing to step out of her comfort zones. Merita Koch never ever really fulfilled the dreams of her lives. It's the same thing for so many of us. We are not prepared to step out of our comfort zones. And life goes on, even when our dreams have died. My friends, don't let your dreams die on you. Go on. Move on to what you are capable of achieving. And always remember, get out of your comfort zones. The second reason why so many people never ever reach the starting line is they don't want the additional trouble of going into a race where there are pressures and where things are not like what they are used to. And so this kind of mentality takes them away from really ever starting any race at all. They sign up for one company, they want to do the business, and then in a short while, after just a little bit of cursory thought, they give up. And they're continuing doing this. They give up. They look at a new opportunity, do a little bit, and then they give up. They don't want the additional trouble. The third reason is also related to the second, where they give up so easily. At the slightest difficulty, they will complain. They are whiners and they are complainers. I've seen so many in the Melaleuca business who are immensely capable, but who comes in and want the perfect setup, something that they can walk into and walk right through. Is there such a setup for us in life? I don't think so. At the first sign of minor issues and problems, they whine, they complain, they lament, and so they give up. Why? Because they are looking for a reason to be out even when they are in. So many people are like that, wanting to be out when they are in, and so they give up. It's sad, isn't it, my friends? If you are like that, may I suggest to you that you should really change your attitudes, that you should now be conscious about what you want to really do in the proper way and in a way that will bring the results. Yet there are others who will come in and who, after reviewing the opportunity that is before them, say, but I can make do. I have enough income, I have enough money on my own. I don't need to do something additional. Actually, the truth is far from what they think. Many of them actually need a second income. Many of them need a second income for the education that they must provide for their children. Many of them need a second income to be ready for emergencies in their lives. Many of them need a second income, for retirement, so that their retirement will be comfortable and that they will not have to rely on their children and others to provide for them. This can make do. I have enough attitude is a terrible attitude because they run away from the truth. The truth is we need to have for our retirement certain principles to be established insofar as savings go. But they are blind to such facts. If you ask a financial planner, at any point in time, your cash requirements should be at least 12 months of your going salary. If your salary is 7,000, you should have a cash reserve of 84,000. And if you really look at what you are requiring for your retirement, then it should be at least providing for 25 years at an income level that is about 80% of your last drawn salary. If you are earning 10,000, then you should be providing for 8,000. 8,000, which is close to 100,000 a month times 25, it would be 2.5 million ringgit for you to have a decent retirement. It is not even the sufficient retirement amount based on your last drawn salary. I was a financial planner before, and so I know that you can't make do by having just a few 100,000 ringgit in your bank account. At the end of the day, when you retire, you should have 25 years provision at 80% of your last drawn salary. So can you make do? I think for the vast majority of people, they are turning a blind eye to what is the real requirement. A secondary income is what you want to have in case you have an emergency and to provide for your retirement. The fifth reason why people don't even reach the starting line is they say it's okay if I don't have more money. I'm all right. These are the people who resign themselves to their situation. They just say it's okay. It's so easy to say it's okay. But as they go on in life, they know it's not okay at all, and they will worry through a large part of their lives. You know, and there's a sixth category that don't reach the starting line because they always look at embarrassment. They say, what will people think of me if I'm involved in, something that has to sell, something that has to really push that kind of business. Actually, in Melaleuca, there's no selling. But there's still that embarrassment factor which is perceived personally. Actually, that embarrassment factor should never arise because people don't look at it that way. It's only us who look at ourselves in that derogative way where we think embarrassment is present. Actually, hard work carries no embarrassment. So it's something that we have to deal with. And then the seventh reason why people don't reach the starting line is they say, I'm not cut out for this. Oh, I'm not a person who can go and talk with others. This self-categorization is a terrible element in the course of our lives. So many people decide for themselves who they are and who they are not. They don't even give it a chance. And then they say, I'm an introvert, or I'm a person who don't like, talking. I'm a person who don't like marketing, and I'm a person who would not go out to, intrude into the lives of others. Every business in life requires us to step out. And my friends, if you're not prepared to step out, then you will not reach the starting line. Of course, the last reason, the eighth reason, is people saying, I have no time. I think that's the most common excuse of all. And in some cases, it is valid. But someone with no time can find the time if the opportunity is really genuine and sincere. I've seen it happen time and again. I used to tell people I have no time. When Captain Mohan approached me to do the business, the first thing that came to mind was no time. I was involved in so many other things. If you look at my life, it's a crazy, messed up kind of life where I have no time to do this and that. But somehow or other, when I'm interested in something, I always find the time. Do I find the time for my mountain climbing activities? Of course I do. Do I find the time for my sports and games? Of course I do. Do I find my time for my musical pursuits of singing and playing the musical instruments? Of course I do. Do I find my time for some of my other pursuits and interests? Of course I do. Do I find time for my family? Yes, I do. Do I find time for my work? Yes, I do. How can I put it all together? Of course you can. But only you will carry the answer to the time issue in your lives. All it needs for you to do is to cut down the time wasters. I've cut down my watching of TV serials to really almost zero. I've cut down all my time wasters in my life. I've cut down, just resting and lazing around and doing nothing of work. There are many, many time wasters that you can avoid, and it will give you time. And that's very interesting, my friends. That is how we move into the business and into the starting line. Against that background of reaching the starting line, let me now move into how we can really make our Melaleuca business work. The easiest avenue to earn an income is really the Melaleuca plan. I have been in the industry for 40 years, and I've never seen a plan that even comes close to the Melaleuca plan for income. How do we build a business then? It is very important for us to understand that there are certain essential steps that we have to take on. Let me list these steps as my personal recommendation to you. If you want to work well in this business and you want success to come, this is what you need to do. Firstly, drive, and early income. Like what Safia said, really move it fast, have the fast progress. Secondly, we should keep it very simple. Don't complicate matters by trying to really do this and that, by trying to add things that are not necessary to the business. We have to keep it simple. The third factor is to love the products. Love it so much that you will really want to use it again and again and again. There are 370 harmful chemical-free and harmful preservative-free products. There's not one reason in the world for us not to use these products, because it's cheaper than Giant and the retail stores. So love the products. Use it. Ship out all your household items which are all with harmful chemicals. Even if they are 2/3 full, give it all away or throw it away. And you'll start to love the products. Fourthly, plan to drive the plan, meaning you must understand how the plan works, and then against what the plan really has as its strengths, you work on those strengths by having a plan for yourself to earn. Fifthly, stay with the 7 critical activities. I can't help but emphasize how important the 7 critical activities are. They are really set up for us. It has been through years of painstaking experience and lessons learned that the company has come up with the 7 critical activities. Don't reinvent the wheel. Go for this. Then, sixthly, decide never to give up as you start the business. Go on, drive it, and drive it more and more. Seventhly, start right. Start right by going through what we have shared. Do the right things. Learn up the products. Learn up the plan. The back office must be known. Familiarize yourself with the web. And then follow the 7 critical activities and really do the business as it should be done. In closing my session tonight, I like to leave with you 4 words, beginning with F. Look at your lives. You must be fed up of what you are not. Because when you can get into this mental stage of being fed up of the situation, I can tell you, things will start to happen. After fed up, you should be freed up. You should review your time commitment and decide on what kind of time allowance you'll make for the Melaleuca business. You have to be freed up. After freeing yourselves up, you should be fired up. You should really touch base with people who are eagles, leaders of the industry, people who are motivated, people who have the right mental setup. Think like they think. Draw upon their kind of mental approaches. And then finally, you have to follow up. Make sure you follow up on each of the ones that comes into the business. Yes, my friends, be fed up, be freed up, be fired up, and then execute the follow-up. I want to tell you, motivation that begins in our own hearts and our own lives is really powerful. And if you can be motivated right, and I believe you can, if you allow yourselves to have this motivation, you will see things differently. The minute you see things on the positive side, on the side where you believe you can really drive the business, something happens, as it did with my life. I'm sad when I look at those who are resigned and who tell themselves they cannot do it. Because the truth of the matter is you can do it. And if you set your mind on it, and you really purpose in your heart, and you really drive it in the way that you should drive, you will definitely succeed. And there's no other course that you will take when you come into the business with such a mental framework. All the best to you, my friends. Do really well.